Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Road Series back at the BARBER Motorsports Park, taking right back up where the INDYCAR Open Series left off just moments ago. 17 laps on tap tonight. As we're getting into practice here, we're riding outboard with Indy Kirkwood, the prodigy, current points leader for the Indy NXT Oval Series, and I believe practice has come to a close, and we'll get the timing and scoring up on the screen to keep track of qualifying here. I did a bit Did a bit of practice myself earlier tonight, get an idea of what drivers are in for here at BARBER. We'll ride with Chris Wetz as he gets into qualifying here in his machine. He's going to work his way down the middle straightaway here at BARBER. Expecting pole speeds to be likely mid to high 1-minute 11s. I was able to get down my time to about a 1-minute 12.3, so I'm suspecting that the likes of Alexander Wesley Hazelworth and Jarrett Cory will be able to break into that 11-second barrier with relative ease. We'll just have to see. We saw qualifying times in the Indy cars as low as 1-minute 6 here earlier tonight. See what the Dallara IL-15 machines, that last step on their road to Indy, what they can do around BARBER here. Important to note, this is fixed setup. Drivers are on a full tank of race fuel, at least in terms of the fill here. I believe you could probably fit more fuel in the car than what's in here, but there is not a separate or option to drain the fuel here in qualifying, so not necessarily entirely representative of potentially just how quick these cars can lap this course, but we'll see. Wetz off into turn number 1 here. Wide arc through 2 and 3 here. He'll head down this middle straightaway, down off turns towards turn 5. Right in front of Charlotte the Spider, you can see off in the distance there. Indy's chiming in chat saying this track is so hard, and that's absolutely why it is such a good track to learn on as well. So many of these tracks on the IndyCar and therefore the Indy NXT calendar, very tricky to get around, let alone race on. So good opportunities to hone your craft on some of the most difficult courses that North America has to offer, especially in machines such as this where you're got to be so committed to every input you make, as we see Wetz working through the chicane on the back half of the track. Little bit of slip there. He'll work through the double right-handers in 14 and 15 and head towards the final left-hander in turn 16 and head down the front straightaway. We'll see what his first of 2 qualifying laps turns out to be. Looks like a 1-minute 12.9 for Mr. Wetz. Evan Cooley sets the fastest lap of a 1-minute 12.499 as it stands. Single split on offer here tonight. We've got 23 cars of a maximum of 24. We'll watch Wetz navigate through Charlotte's Web, turn number 5 here. Cory, 1-minute 11.7. I knew if there was going to be somebody who could do it, Cory would be amongst them. Well, 3/4 of a second faster than Cooley, currently provisionally second. We'll stay on board with Wetz here as he continues to work his second lap. We'll have to see if Mr. Hazelworth gets up on the board. Of course, the multi-time Indy Pro 2000 champion here on iRacing. I believe he scored a podium earlier this season in Indy NXT top split competition at Laguna Seca, the opening round here in our inaugural season. And we're getting down to crunch time here in Indy NXT competition. Who's going to take that points championship? Cory in the field tonight, the closest amongst them towards the top of the timing, or the point standings, and we'll update you on that as we get through the end of Wetz's qualifying run here. We'll at least get you another car out on track. How about Rogue Racing's Ty Kilo? We'll get Mr. Kilo working his second lap in qualifying. He's going to wrap the final couple of corners. Victor Couto sets the fastest lap with a... Oh, never mind. Cory back with a 1-minute 11.549. Ty Kilo going to head down the front straightaway here. 1 minute 12.1 for the Rogue Racing machine of Mr. Keela. That'll put him fourth, just alongside Mr. Hazelworth, who's out on track now. We'll get to him if he's still out there. No, he's not. We'll ride with Indy then. Kirkenbauer. We'll ride outboard with him as I give you a quick overview of the point standings as they stand going into week number 11 of 12 here in Indy NXT Road Series competition. As it stands, Tim van Grusven from the Netherlands is your points leader on 1,467 points, just ahead of Jarrett Corey on 1,409. Mackenzie Roon sits on 1,401, just ahead of Flynn Lazier on 1,387. And then Henry Olied will be on 1,333, rounding out your top 5 number of drivers potentially out of contention at this stage in the season to try to make up the points deficit, but fairly close up at the top for the first couple positions here as we head into the final couple weeks of competition in this inaugural Indy NXT Series. Indy sets his first qualifying time. That'll put him 10th on the board. It's a 1:13.2. Believe he has one more lap to go here. We'll put the driver inputs on the screen even if we're outboard here. We'll get an idea what he's doing in his IL-15 here. The Votive Racing driver making another appearance on the road courses. Of course, he's currently leading the point standings in the Oval Series, which we'll get to tomorrow night. Likewise, with the IndyCar Oval Fixed Series, they'll be taking on the Kansas Speedway for their 11th of 12 rounds in this season. And then we've got 1 week left of Indy NXT action in its first season here on iRacing. Well, they'll be taking on the Sebring International Raceway and Homestead Miami Speedway, riding off into the sunset for the Indy NXT Oval Series next week. Same times as they have been since the time change. We'll be back here on P1 presenting that coverage, or rather I will. I guess there is an I and we in this case, to some extent. I'll be presenting coverage for both of those in their season finales. We'll hopefully crown ourselves some champions as Kirkenbauer puts up a time of 1 minute 12, 1:45, putting him 5th on the board, and we're getting to the closing stages of qualifying. A couple drivers still out there taking time. See if we can follow along with anybody out on the track. Let's see what Christopher Long's doing out on the course. He's got the one of the default iRacing provided paint schemes, the Chip Ganassi racing car. He's actually got an appropriate number on that machine with the number 10 here tonight. Ooh, bit of a moment up through the chicane on the back half of the course. Likely not going to be good for speed or time here. I believe that does not allow your lap to be valid if he's on a timed one here. But we will get to a starting grid here as drivers begin to grid up here for 17 laps at the Barber Motorsports Park. Wait for a couple more cars to get on the grid before we start rolling through it here. So it will be Jarrett Corey. Not pictured just yet, but he'll be starting from the pole with a 1 minute 11.549 ahead of Victor Couto in the second spot on a 1 minute 11.659. Just 0.11 of a second separating those two drivers, a tenth and change separating the front row. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, the multi-time Indy Pro 2000 champion and podium finisher here on the broadcasts earlier this season. He'll start third next to Rogue Racing's Ty Keela in the fourth spot. Indy Kirkenbauer will line up fifth in his number 7 Votive Racing entry alongside Evan Cooley in the 14 car. Bill Reptaskis will be 7th in the number 12. Griffin Brown will line up 8th in the number 16 machine. Edson Poole making an appearance here on the Indy NXT Road Series broadcast will line up ninth alongside Chris Wetz, the winner of Indy NXT at Richmond this season in the Oval Series. We'll see if he can make some ground here on the road course. Gerard Wakefield will start 11th. Good to see Gerard making an appearance here in Indy NXT competition. Christopher Long will start 12th ahead of Luke Brooker in the 13th spot. We'll get back to Caleb Harris in 14th. Jack TK Hughes will line up 15th. Barrett McDaniel will be 16th ahead of Brandon Staton in the 17th spot, alongside Bruno Rodriguez in 18th. Rest of the cars here, 19th on back, not taking time. Tyler Langenberg in the number 8 machine will roll up 19th. Formula Indy Series is Zachary Thom will line up in the 20th spot, and we'll move to the bottom 3 on the grid. You got Gage Daly. He's starting from the pit lane here tonight. Matt Guadagnolo will be 22nd, and Drew Greenwood will be 23rd. Not sure if he's made his way onto the course. That'll be your starting lineup. We'll hop back up to Jarrett Corey, who will be leading this field to the green. Get the time tower back on display, and we will get going here for the race. Spider track, best track. I agree. We got to get the Statings music out of here, though. There we go. Cars are rolling. That was quite the save from, I believe that was Christopher Long we were riding with the big spin thrown through the backstretch chicane there. We'll get the cameras a bit further back here so we can get a bigger clue of just how big this field is. 23 cars on offer. Field only can hold one more based off the iRacing split size. One big field here for the top split here on P1. Strength of field sitting around 2,300. We've got Jarrett Corey sitting on 5,256 following a weekend of the USF 2000s at the SCCA runoffs. Of course, myself and him sharing the front row and having our own trials and tribulations throughout that race. Hopefully this one goes a bit better for both of our sake. All the way down to Drew Greenwood. Bruno Rodriguez sits on the lowest I rating in the field, 232. But you know what? The split. You could be in the big show here on P1 if you're in the right place at the right time. And this week at the Barber Motorsports Park is Mr. Rodriguez's time to shine here. He qualified 18th, so we'll see if he can move that number 23 machine further up the field as we get going here tonight. Cars working down towards that backstretch chicane. We'll see who's got what as you see Charlotte off in the distance there alongside the Alabama flag and the timing tower here at Barber. Cars rolling through 13, 14, and 15. And we'll get to that left-hander of turn 16 here shortly. Jarrett Corey leading the field towards that turn number 16 onto the front straightaway. When does he decide to launch? He's decided now's the time. Green flag in the air. Barney's waving it real good. Jarrett's going to go all but unopposed into turn number 1 here. We'll see. Oh, there's contact in the back. I believe that's going to be Griffin Brown. Griffin Brown's involved, a number of other cars involved. We're going to hop back to the front of the field, but we'll get back to this as fast as we can. Number of cars falling down the order rather quickly. About a 6-car breakaway here at the front as it stands. Get immediately to gaps on the field, try to figure out where the field is broken up here. Looks like it's going to be right around the 9th place spot where Gerard Wakefield rides about a second off of Edson Toole. Close quarters here at the Barber Motorsports Park. We're going to see if we can find out what happened to Griffin Brown here relatively quickly. So heading off into turn number 1, we've got Brown on the outside of, I believe that's going to be the number 12 of Bill Reptaskis. Heading off into turn number 1 here. Reptaskis is going to make contact with Brown, send him around. Looks like we're going to have to catch up on another incident early on here as Kirkenbauer's fallen down the order. But that's going to be Brown and Reptaskis. It looks like Brown's going to be missing the entire rear portion of the engine cover And Reptaskis is missing the front wing. Everybody else looks relatively unscathed. We're going to hop to Indy Kirkenbauer now. He's in the pit lane already. We'll see what happened to him. He's around off the final corner. I believe... Oh, that's Zachary Falmaround, rather. We'll have to see what happened to Indy, but Falmaround off the final corner. He gets loose into the outside wall. That's likely night over for him. See what happened to Indy here. Oh, backstretch chicane. Lots of trouble here early in this race. He's going to miss the corner, hit the grass, and bounce around a good bit, head off to the other side of the track, and that is the wall, and that's going to be night over for the number 7 car of Kirkenbauer. We'll hop back to the front of the field. Got to catch up with the action near the front. Corey leads over Victor Couto in the 2nd spot. Hazelworth runs comfortably in the 3rd spot. Ty Keela for Road Racing will run 4th. Cooley falling a bit further down the order in the 5th spot. It's 4-car breakaway here at the front. We'll see if any of these drivers can make some headway. Couto will set the fastest lap with a 1:11.607. Drivers getting on the push to pass, heading down this middle straightaway here. Cooley rounds out your top 5. You got Toole, Wakefield, Brooker, Long, Wetz rounding out the top 10, and you can see the rest of the running order beyond that. Big gap still past these 4 cars is going to be back to Cooley rather, who will be about 3 seconds back of Ty Keela at the end of this train. Corey in command, about a half-second lead for him. See him continue through the chicane here, heading towards 14 and 15. Round the left-hander at turn 16. And Corey will continue to lead. That gap's falling ever so slightly back to Couto. Couto within about half a second, depending on where you catch him on the track. Nice wide arc through 1 and 2 here. Jared, of course, currently 2nd in the point standings here in Indy NXT Road Series competition. He's looking to hopefully pick up some solid points here tonight in what will likely be the biggest split of the week, given the Thanksgiving holiday and a number of other things going on, and Barber not being amongst the most popular tracks, as much as we here in the IndyCar camp very much love this track for all the spectacle and allure it has, like the architecture and the mannequins, as it were. Hazelworth's making a pass on Couto through the chicane. Couto's getting all sorts of squirrely. This is going to allow Ty Keela to close in on Hazelworth for the bottom step of the podium. Kirkwood reporting from the infield care center that he went way too high when he saw the car to his inside, and unfortunately that is kind of the name of the game here at a track like Barber. You get out of the groove here, it's so easy to have the entire thing fall away from you, and especially through that backstretch chicane, so easy to just send it off into the grass, and that wall gets very, very close to you when you're slipping and sliding through there. So the top, that's Couto off. Shoots it wide through turn 5 at Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web claims another victim. That moves Hazelworth and Ty Keela up to 2nd and 3rd. See if Couto has any response for that mistake. That'll move Keela to the bottom step of the podium, and he'll chase down Mr. Hazelworth for the 2nd spot now. See if Couto can recover here. Closest battle on track now is actually going to be Caleb Harris trying to make it around Griffin Brown for the 12th spot. They're heading off into the 8, 9, 10 complex. Harris in the HMD Motorsports scheme. It's quite a train of cars here. Corey's going to set the fastest lap at a 1:11.492. You're going to see Brown defensive end of the chicane here. Kuto's going to make it by Ty Keela for the third spot. Oh, Keela's around. Let's catch that. Coming. Actually, I think we can get further up the field here. He's going to come off of turn number 3. He's going to get the power down. Heading towards turn number 4. Catches the grass, and that's going to be all it takes for Mr. Keela's machine to go around. He's going to fall well down the order. He's got a meatball flag now, so I'm suspecting more happens from here. We'll see his car attempt to rejoin the field here. He's going to attempt to turn it around now. So that's him turning it around, trying to rejoin the field here, and I believe, yeah, that's going to be the number 4 machine of Luke Brooker. Just absolutely nails Keela as he tries to get up to speed. Nothing Brooker could have done there, I think, at that point. Just unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time for both drivers, and that's going to be night done for both of them. I believe Langenberg's picked up a meatball flag as well. We'll hop back to Jarrett at the front of the field. Gap's now 2 seconds back to Hazelworth. So some early difficulties here at Barber. This track takes no prisoners. Very, very difficult to get around this roughly 2.4-mile road course here in Birmingham, Alabama. So we'll keep the eyes on Jarrett for a moment, and we'll try to fall back towards the field with that battle for the 11th spot now with Griffin Brown and Jack Hughes alongside Gage Daly running 11th through 13th. This is Brown here. Saw Brown involved in the crash on the opening lap through turns 1 and 2. He's missing his engine cover. That's likely not good for speed, but he's still holding on to some sizable position here in the middle portion of the field. Here they come back towards the backstretch here at Barber. I think next time by, we'll try to ride with Jack Hughes as he attempts to look and make a pass on Griffin here for the 11th spot. So we'll hop back to Jack's car and get ready for that onboard lap here at the Barber Motorsports Park. So let's get back to Gage Daly at the tail end of this train. We'll ride on board with him. They'll head off into turn number 1 here at Barber. Single downshift down to 4th into turn 1. 2 down for 2 and 3 here. Nice and tidy around the inside of the track there. Get on the power. Turn 4 here. Car gets a little bit light there, you see. They'll head off into turn number 5, Charlotte's Web. Hello, Charlotte. A little bit of a moment there for Mr. Daly. Getting the power down off the corner there. He's going to try to chase down Hughes and Brown just ahead here. Lock up. Daly's going to go off. Hughes locks it up. Daly, I think, got surprised there. And that's likely going to be our chase done here for Mr. Daly. Hop outboard and catch to the battle for the 5th spot between Edson Toole and Gerard Wakefield. You see Toole here, Wakefield just off in the distance behind him. It's going to be the closest battle on the track as it stands. Gaps around 0.8 of a second between these two cars. I believe this is another HMD livery on the number. Oh, no, this is Dex Imaging on that machine. My apologies. Nice chrome-colored car here for Toole. Yeah, big gap between the 3rd spot down to Cooley in 4th. That's about 6.5 seconds. And then a big gap from 6th to 7th. That'll be Wakefield back to Christopher Long, alongside a rather large gap between Rodriguez and Staton, 14th and 15th. It's about 12 seconds as well, alongside gap from Long to McDaniel, 7th and 8th. We'll actually hop back to Hughes as he's caught Griffin again. He's still hot on the gearbox of Mr. Brown. Going to get awfully close here through 15. I think Hughes is just looking for the opportunity he needs to get by. He's got a Cadillac-inspired livery on this number 17 machine. We've made it past the halfway point. We'll get to laps to go here. You got 8 more remaining, including the one we're on. Oh, Corey with issues. Off the track. We'll see. He works through this backstretch chicane here. And there's a lap machine of the number 12. That's going to be Bill Raptaskis coming through the chicane here. Corey's going to look to the right, make contact, fly up into the air. Might have just closed in on him too quickly. That's going to shoot Corey up into the air. Rough break for our race leader for the entirety of the race so far. And that's going to allow Hazelworth to inherit the lead with Victor Couto hop in tow. We'll see if Corey's machine has damage as a result of that. Doesn't appear so. Appears he got away with one there. But that means the gap for the lead's now within 1 second. We've had ourselves from Delara Plains here at the Barber Motorsports Park. See if Corey can hold on to that bottom step of the podium. Obviously not what he was looking for here tonight. That's going to be the lap car of, not quite sure who that is. I believe that's going to be Bruno Rodriguez, if I had to guess. That is Bruno, running in 15th. Not quite sure Delara wants their machines being turned into planes, but we've seen a couple here tonight. So Hazelworth, the law firm, laying down the law at the front of the field now. Couto is hot in tow behind him. This will be the battle for the lead through to the conclusion of this race. Corey's going to have to hold on to the 3rd spot as best as he can. Head down the front stretch once more. We'll run through the field here now that we seem to have found a proper reprieve here. So you've got Alexander Wesley Hazelworth leading from Victor Couto in 2nd. Jarrett Corey has fallen to 3rd. He's about 3.5 seconds back of Couto now. Evan Cooley runs 4th. Edson Tools in 5th. Gerard Wakefield in the 6th spot. We'll start getting some more of these cars on the screen here. There's Gerard. Got Christopher Long running 7th. Brett McDaniel will run in 8th. He's around in turns 15 and 16 here in his number 18 machine. Caleb Harris, he runs 9th. Matt Guadagnolo will be 10th in the number 21. Gage Daly, he'll be 11th in the number 20. Griffin Brown still running with no engine covers, managed to hold on to the 12th spot. He's kept it clean since that first corner incident. Brandon Stanton runs 13th in the 13. I believe that's going to be that Target Chip Ganassi Racing inspired livery. Jack Hughes, he runs 14th. Bruno Rodriguez runs 15th. He's being chased down by Jarrett Corey, I believe. That will be Jarrett's car, I do believe. Contact made between those two drivers. Raptaskis runs in 16th. He's missing a rear and front wing on his machine, along with one of the side pods. Ty Keelis sits in the pit lane. He's the last car still clocked in. Currently serving a meatball flag. Luke Brooker, Tyler Langenberg, Chris Wetz, Indy Kirkbauer, Zach Falm, all out of the event here tonight. 4 laps to go. We're back up at the front with Mr. Hazelworth. Not an uncommon sight if you've raced any Indy Pro race here on iRacing over the years. Hazelworth always near the front of the field. most weeks in that series. Not too uncommon to see the rear of his blue and white machine ahead of you. Putting on a solid performance here in the next car at Barber. This is the closest battle on the track as it stands, so we'll stay with it as long as we can. Kuto's on the push to pass. Might be worth checking just how much drivers have left of that. Of course, 150 seconds on offer. Kuto's down to 33 to compare to Hazelworth's 41. Jarrett Corey sits on 39. Cooley on 43. Toole sits on 64. That's the highest of the top five. Gerard Wakefield sits on 37 in the sixth spot. We've got Christopher Long on 33. Caleb Harris sits on 110. And Matt Guadagnolo sits on nothing. He's used it all up. He's still got a couple laps here to go at Barber. Kuto is all over the gearbox of Hazelworth. Not too many laps here to go. Is Kuto going to be able to take this lead from Hazelworth? I believe we've had only two leaders here tonight, that being Corey and Hazelworth. We'll stick here at the front of the field. Want to thank everybody for tuning in to the broadcast here of Indy Next here at Barber. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7:15 Eastern Time for the IndyCar Oval Series at Kansas, and that'll be followed up at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time with the Indy Next. Or sorry, hold on. 7:15 Eastern for the IndyCar Oval Series at Kansas, and 8:30 for the Indy Next Oval Series also at Kansas. We got the double-double here in the officials week for Thanksgiving, and we will be off until next week, where we will be back with IndyCar Open taking on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Indy Next Road will take on Sebring International Raceway at their usual times of 7 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, respectively. Tuesday night will be the stacked lineup, including Who's Your 500 Practice with Gary Godso and Andrew Wood, I believe, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. iRacing Super Speedway coverage will be done by Mark Murphy. That'll start at 7:15 Eastern Time next Tuesday. And the Indy Next Oval Series season finale will take place at Homestead, Miami at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Victor Kuto has made it to the lead onto the white flag lap. I believe there was some lap traffic involved in that exchange. We'll see if Hazelworth can make it back to the point. He's going to look, try as he might. He's going to be on the outside here coming into Charlotte's Web. Lap car of, I believe that's going to be Hughes up ahead here. They're going to work off of turn number 5. Hazelworth's going to be side by side with Kuto, heading towards 8, 9, and 10. Or 7, 8, 9. A number of corners. Hazelworth's going to be all over the back of Victor Kuto. See if he can make one final move. Heading down the front straightaway is likely going to be his opportunity to make this pass. Can he get close enough? Kuto runs wide. Hazelworth's going to look to the inside, but not quite there. It's going to be a run to the line. Kuto's going to start the weave early. It's going to be Victor Kuto winning over Hazelworth. I believe that's going to be one of our closest finishes all season long. Kuto able to get the pass done at just the right time. Jarrett Corey will hold on to third ahead of Evan Cooley. Edson Toole will finish 5th ahead of Gerard Wakefield in the 6th spot, and we'll get through the rest of the field as they finish and get to our finishing results here from Barber in our split here tonight. believe Mr. Hughes will be the last car to make it around. We'll catch his trip across the start-finish line here. We will then get to the finishing results here from Barber. That will be Victor Couto here, your winner over Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. The law firm will finish second ahead of Jarrett Corey, who faced some tough break with a lap car here in the middle stages of this race. He'll round out the podium. Evan Cooley will finish fourth ahead of Edson Toole in fifth. Gerard Wakefield in the number 9 will finish sixth. Christopher Long in that number 10 machine, he'll finish seventh ahead of Gage Daly in eighth. Caleb Harris will finish ninth, and Matt Guadagnolo will finish 10th. Brandon Statton will finish 11th. Griffin Brown will be 12th. Jack Hughes will be 13th, last car on the lead lap. Bruno Rodriguez will be 14th in the number 23, 1 lap down. Bill Reptaskis will be 2 laps down in 15th. Barrett McDaniel will finish 16th. Ty Keela 17th. Luke Brooker in 18th. Tyler Langenberg in 19th. Chris Wetz in 20th. Rounding out the field will be Indy Kirkenbauer, who faced huge heavy damage on the opening lap here at Barber. Zachary Fallman, Drew Greenwood will round out the field. We will get to podium finishers here for the podium. Jarrett Corey's car on the screen. We found him. See if he rolls on in here or not. Do see him along with Mr. Hazelworth down there. Get Jarrett on up here. Jarrett, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting. You got me?
Yep.
Well, it was quite the event that took you out of the lead in this race. Kind of talk us through your drive to recovery or maintaining this bottom step of the podium.
Just understeer. I mean, the front of my car was pretty destroyed. I can't believe I still had a front wing, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I was just using whatever gap I still had at that point. I mean, it goes without saying that I'm unbelievably frustrated. I mean, it's just typical lap car being idiots, which, to be fair, I haven't had a lap car be a complete idiot in a while. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he's got one responsibility, and that's to be predictable, and he did not do that. And then he's maintained after a race that it's my fault, even though he did not go and do what he's supposed to do. So it's just incredibly frustrating to have that win taken away from me, because I felt like I had earned it there. I had the best pace, and yeah, it's frustrating. And I mean, I was keeping Alexander behind pretty well, so yeah, it's a shame what happened.
Yeah, unfortunate circumstances, be it what they may. It sounds like a lot of people were maybe facing some difficulties as the race progressed with the cars. Do you kind of have any feedback or insight as to how things kind of progressed in the car over the course of the 17 laps here tonight?
Yeah, if you're not careful and spin the rear wheels, the car can get very loose. I was doing a really good job this race, and actually I did the same last race, just to not spin the rear wheels, because other than that, like, if you don't have as much wheel spin over the race, like if you're just gentle on the throttle, you don't actually have too much tire wear. There is a pace drop off, but it's not huge, and the car sort of maintains the balance. But I saw, especially on like lap 1, Victor was right behind me and spun up the rear wheels coming out of turn 4, and so I figured that probably having that sort of knowledge, especially since I did the race before, would help as well. Unfortunately, it didn't really amount to anything, as I ended up finishing behind anyways, but yeah.
Certainly lessons learned that could be carried forward into future races in this car, no less, but ultimately still a podium finish here tonight despite all the trials and tribulations. If you got anybody you want to shout out here, Jarrett, floor is yours.
You and P1 Broadcasting for putting this on once again. Also iRacing for putting this track on the schedule, because let's be honest, it's not going to be voted on the schedule, so only every time we're probably going to see it is the real world alignment. So It's a great track. I love this place. It's a shame couldn't quite get the win here, but yeah, love this place and hope to see you again soon.
You and me both, Jarrett. Well, congrats on the podium here at Barber tonight. We hope to catch you next week at Sebring for the season finale.
Yep, you too. See ya.
That will be Jarrett Corey finishing second here tonight. We'll get Alexander Hazelworth on up here. Alexander, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting. You got me?
Sure, you got me.
Yeah, I got you, Alex. Well, it looked like until about the last lap of this race, or even just slightly before that, you had this race in hand following Jarrett's issues earlier on in the race, but ultimately Victor Couto was able to make the pass on by you. Kind of walk us through your race here tonight.
I thought the start was pretty good. I thought I was able to keep up pretty well with Curry until he got sort of in that incident, which then, funny enough, then I got in a similar one at the same position. But yeah, it was good with Kuto. We were both racing each other very heavily.
You got a copy, Alex? I think we lost you there.
Okay, where'd you lose me at?
About halfway through your last through your answer there. Just want to make sure we get you.
Oh yeah, Kudo. We both raced each other quite heavily. I thought we did a good job racing each other.
Yeah, kind of talk us through, kind of working through here tonight. It sounded like the name of the game here was kind of getting the power down cleanly through the corners. Jarrett kind of mentioned that a couple guys might have struggled a couple laps here, particularly in the opening couple of corners here. You have any thoughts as to what else might have played a factor here in your solid finish here tonight?
I think it was using the push to pass, but I did notice that in sector 2 that it was really getting the power down where you didn't slide out of the corner. That was like the start of sector 2, but yeah, I think the push to pass on sector 3 was what really helped me there.
Well, a solid second place finish here for you tonight. I believe it's at least your second one here on the broadcast here on P1. If you got anybody you want to shout out here, Mr. Hazelworth, you go ahead and do so.
Yeah, I was glad to have another podium on my second broadcast race, and shout out to the Open Wheel C folks and anyone else that knows me and is watching. Thanks.
Thank you, Alex. We'd love to see you out here, obviously, given your history on the road to Indy. Glad to see you being able to transfer that on the way up.
Hey, thanks for the broadcast.
All right, and we will get Victor Couto on up here, as I believe that's who we've got down here. Victor, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting. You got me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I believe this is a repeat victory here for you in Indy NXT competition. Not quite sure which track it would have been in the past. It might have even been just last week, and that's why I remember it so well. But another win for you here tonight. Kind of walk us through how you were able to make it back to the front here once the race kind of had all of its events play out.
Yeah, I won last week in Lime Rock. That one was definitely more secure than this one. Honestly, I have no idea how I even won this race. I had a lot of mistakes in the beginning. This track is super hard. I had a couple lockups in the hairpin, and I went off. And then I settled back into P3, and at that point, I just thought, Jarrett obviously has a lot of pace. He definitely had the pace to win. And Alexander ahead was no slouch. So I just thought, I'll keep my pace here, and if something happens, I'll capitalize. And then a little bit later, Jarrett had the incident with some lap traffic, and then I was able to be close with Alexander, and then the opportunity came in the same place, and I took it, and then was able to hold off. But yeah, it was definitely a race of attrition.
Yeah, we kind of saw your lockup heading into turn 5, about the middle stage of this race here. Kind of walk us through being able to kind of re-hone back in and kind of reset yourself mentally after a mistake like that, especially in a race that saw a lot of issues kind of for everybody throughout the field trying to make their way to the finish.
Yeah, it's tough, because at that point you kind of think, oh, I threw it away, or whatever chance I had is kind of now gone. But I knew just from driving and doing the practice that the tire wear was a big deal, and it's a treacherous track to drive around in this car. So I just thought I'll try to keep my pace, and whatever happens, happens, and we're able to take P1.
Well, another week, another victory for you. Not a bad way to do it. If you've got anybody you want to shout out, Mr. Kuto, you go ahead and do so.
I'll shout out Mom and Dad, and then, of course, P1 Broadcasting for making the broadcast possible.
Well, thank you for coming out here once more, Victor. We hope to catch you next week for Sebring, our season finale, and hopefully you can pick up another solid finish.
Yes, sir. I'll try to make it.
And that will be Victor Kuto, the winner here tonight. And that will do it for all of us here at P1 for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with the IndyCar Oval Series, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time from Kansas, followed up by the Indy NXT Oval Series, also from Kansas, 8:30 Eastern Time. I believe I got it right this time. I want to thank all those that do the difficult jobs all around the world that let us do all the fun things that we do. We thank you very, very much to all those around the world who have tuned in or are doing the tough things out there. We want to thank them as well. And for myself, Gary Gotso, founder, Mark Murphy, everybody else we got here on P1, we will catch you at the next race. Same time, same channel. Have a good night, everybody.